On the third day Luo Feng arrived in Qingfeng City, inside the cave mansion of Bo Xiu Divine Emperor. You're here. Bo Xiu, Bai Yin, Qi Zhen and Luo Feng together greeted City Lord Feng Qiao and his group of pinnacle existences. City Lord, Bo Xiu Divine Emperor said with a smile. Is this the Luo Feng Divine Emperor? City Lord Feng Qiao, who had the appearance of a stone giant, observed Luo Feng and said with a smile, we haven't had much rest these past few days to gather the resources required for the transaction. A transaction totaling 7,300 billion primordial crystals, along with a large amount of bloodline and battle merit, even for the power group of City Lord Feng Qiao, required 2 to 3 days to prepare. City Lord, thank you for your hard work, Luo Feng said with a smile. City Lord Feng Qiao carefully observed the black-clad, black-haired man. From the surface he didn't seem to be someone skilled in scheming. However, he knew better than to judge a cultivator by appearances. We just learned some news about Luo Feng Divine Emperor. In just over 2,000 epochs, he grew from an ordinary divine emperor to a pinnacle level in Yulan City of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. Truly remarkable, City Lord Feng Qiao praised. Such growth speed is rare even in the dark sacred realm. Other pinnacle-level existences also expressed their admiration as they observed Luo Feng, watching his reaction. They were also somewhat curious. Did Luo Feng Divine Emperor truly grow over 2,000 epochs? Or was it deliberate disguise? Shall we first attend to the business? Bo Xiu spoke. Alright, let's do the transaction first, City Lord Feng Qiao nodded. Luo Feng also nodded, turned his hand to take out the storage bracelet, released the seals and allowed the guests present to investigate. City Lord Feng Qiao and the others penetrated their consciousness, inspecting the densely packed and numerous low-level primordial life corpses inside the storage bracelet, and couldn't help but marvel. Seeing these with their own eyes was somewhat exhilarating. To harvest tens of thousands of low-level primordial life corpses at once, impressive, truly impressive, City Lord Feng Qiao exclaimed. On our side we will first provide Brother Luo Feng with 10 million battle merits, and the auxiliary treasures and various primordial bloodline materials you purchased. Additionally, we'll add 53,120 billion primordial crystals. As for the remaining 20 million battle merits Brother Luo Feng ordered, we estimate to gather them all within 1,000 epochs, and then proceed with the delivery. Luo Feng nodded. Each 10 million battle merits requires 1.3 trillion primordial crystals. At that time I still need to prepare 2.6 trillion primordial crystals for the delivery. But that's a matter for the future. The primordial bloodlines and auxiliary cultivation treasures I need should be sent to Transmission Holy Mountain, Luo Feng said as his avatar had long been waiting there. We'll send them over right away, City Lord Feng Qiao smiled slightly. Transmission Holy Mountain. One of Luo Feng's avatars sat cross-legged by the dark lake, patiently waiting all this time. When over in Qingfeng City, City Lord Feng Qiao said, we'll send them over now. Luo Feng saw from afar a ship flying over, landing next to the mountaintop lake within mere heartbeats. Luo Feng Divine Emperor. 3 pinnacle-level existences walked out from the ship. Their team was specifically in charge of escorting. Having just exchanged for high-level primordial bloodlines and the corresponding materials from the large Primordial Hall, the 3 of them together were enough to handle most dangers in the dark sacred realm. After all, they were holding goods worth over 6,000 billion primordial crystals, and could not be treated lightly. Thank you all, Luo Feng stood up to greet. Confirmation over at Qingfeng City. Hand over at Transmission Holy Mountain. After receiving, Luo Feng slightly probed with his thoughts and after confirming that there were no errors. Phew. Luo Feng jumped directly into the teleportation lake beside, locked onto the spatial coordinates of the source world, Land of Origin, and immediately returned. Land of Origin, quiet room inside Huyang City Lord's mansion within a star tower. The entire world group centered on the dark sacred realm, all low-level primordial bloodlines related to life and destruction, have been collected completely. Also, a total of 73 types of high-level primordial bloodlines of integration of life and death have been gathered. In this layer of the star tower space, all the primordial bloodlines were neatly placed, each accompanied by 12 corresponding materials. Early stage of Divine Emperor, middle stage of Divine Emperor, late stage Divine Emperor Perfection, super limit level. The low-level primordial bloodlines were indeed categorized more specifically. High-level primordial bloodlines, however, were categorized more roughly. All life and death type bloodlines at most achieve integration, and there has never been a fusion of life and death. Luo Feng gently shook his head. Innate primordial life, their birth contains the mysteries of various Daos. Be it time, space, life, darkness, destruction, these are all the most original Daos. They are all pure Daos without any innate appearance of a fusion Dao. This is also the reason why the fusion Dao is exceedingly difficult. I hope to find a way to break through the bottleneck from these primordial bloodlines. Luo Feng's brow opened with the eye of life and death, beginning to meticulously observe the primordial bloodlines. Learning from the corpses of innate primordial life, this is the path of cultivators. Crunch. Luo Feng turned his hand to take out a red fruit, which he quickly devoured, the invisible energy nourishing his soul consciousness, accelerating his thought process 100-fold, while also being incredibly tranquil and comfortable. Ordinary auxiliary treasures like these with Luo Feng's wealth, he could now use them regularly. Cannot find a breakthrough method. There's no way. With Luo Feng's current level combined with the secret treasure, Eye of Life and Death, he can completely see through even the super limit level primordial bloodline. Although he hasn't researched carefully, a rough glance is enough for Luo Feng to know that none of these primordial bloodlines contain the method to control the immense physical form. None of the low-level primordial bloodlines have the method to control the immense physical form. Luo Feng felt a bit disappointed. The half-primordial life and death path, physical form he envisioned was too immense, much larger than any low-level primordial life forms. It's seemingly normal to find no answers in these low-level primordial life forms. Just have to look to the high-level primordial bloodlines. Luo Feng turned his gaze to the largest of the 73 high-level primordial bloodlines. This high-level primordial bloodline, carefully preserved, was a crystalline scarlet liquid with faint surreal images, showing a large fiery red bird spreading its wings as if to fly. This is my first time observing a high-level primordial bloodline. The transition from low-level to high-level primordial life is an unprecedented qualitative change. Even hundreds of billions of low-level primordial lives are like offerings before a high-level primordial life. In the face of such a huge disparity, quantity loses its meaning. Buzz. The Eye of Life and Death, at Luo Feng's brow, watched the high-level primordial bloodline. This primordial bloodline, the vitality is exceedingly strong. The mysteries of life account for about 50%, destruction about 30%, and the rest are matter, infinite, and other mysteries. The difficulty level of observation is much higher. Luo Feng frowned slightly. Even with the Eye of Life and Death, there are still areas I cannot see clearly. Using the Eye of Life and Death, Luo Feng's observational ability is on par with that of a normal high-level primordial life. High-level primordial life forms, too, cannot clearly see all the mysteries of another high-level primordial bloodline. It's good enough to see shallow, mid-level mysteries. The deepest layers are shrouded invisibly. High-level primordial bloodlines are more suitable for me to comprehend. The blood-colored scale on the star tower, its level is too high, only the most superficial outer layer can be observed. The Eye of Life and Death itself is a world-level primordial life, still a level considered high. High-level primordial life. We are now able to attempt to comprehend it at Luo Feng's current realm. It no longer seems beyond reach. Historically, there have been cultivators who've comprehended high-level primordial bloodlines, undergoing a bloodline ultimate awakening, breaking free of the braided cage. Luo Feng thought, if they can achieve ultimate awakening, it's normal for me to comprehend parts of the bloodline. Patiently, Luo Feng continued his comprehension as day by day passed. Suddenly, at a certain moment, Luo Feng was stunned. The Eye of Life and Death at his brow was observing parts of the mysteries when he saw this spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form system he had always longed for. I found it, finally I found it. Luo Feng was incomparably excited. Evidently, on high-level primordial life forms lies the direction he had been painstakingly searching for. This high-level primordial bloodline, named Heavenly Fire Shadow, has an extremely large physical form. Luo Feng thought to himself, high-level primordial life generally have immense physical forms. Yet their size still varies greatly. Luo Feng hurriedly reviewed the other high-level primordial bloodlines. Spending over 100 days for a rough look, he searched for similar mysteries of spiritual consciousness control of the physical form. In the 73 types of high-level primordial bloodlines, only 3 types contain the spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form mysteries, and they are all among the largest in size even among high-level primordial life. Luo Feng smiled. With these 3 types of high-level primordial bloodlines as references and guidance, breaking through the bottleneck seems hopeful. Thankfully, the high-level primordial bloodlines he bought contain 3 types that have this spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form mysteries. If he couldn't buy them, feeling his way in the dark would take who knows how long. That's how cultivation is. Some innate primordial life unveil the veil, seeing the road ahead makes it much easier to walk. However, it's not every time one encounters a bottleneck can a path be found on innate primordial life. These 3 high-level primordial life forms, namely Heavenly Fire Shadow, Ghost Prison Disaster Beast, 9-headed Chaos Beast, are all incredibly huge in size among their tiers. Study them one by one. Luo Feng continued his research on the high-level primordial bloodline of Heavenly Fire Shadow. Heavenly Fire Shadow is an immense avian creature. Confronting it feels like facing endless heavenly fire. Its full appearance is hard to see. Once it spreads its wings, a shadow casts, bringing endless calamity. Spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form. Luo Feng's Eye of Life and Death started careful observation. With the study, Luo Feng too encountered obstacles. Because the mysteries contained in the primordial bloodline don't exist independently. They are entangled with countless mysteries. To comprehend spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form, Luo Feng needs to unravel these mysteries. Fortunately, what he bought are primarily high-level primordial bloodlines with life and destruction combined, which Luo Feng can largely unravel. As time goes by, the mysteries of spiritual consciousness control of the immense physical form gradually unfold before him. So that's how Heavenly Fire Shadow controls its immense physical form. Luo Feng, having seen only a small part, understood the most basic principle. Luo Feng sat cross-legged within the space of the star tower, watching the Heavenly Fire Shadow's primordial bloodline with the Eye of Life and Death on his forehead, and exclaimed while watching, "Why didn't I think of this before?" With my understanding of the life path, every life unit contains endless spirituality and can generate self-consciousness, Luo Feng thought. Given the vastness of the half-primordial life and death Tao's body, the life units it possesses are uncountable. Theoretically, the half-primordial life and death Tao's body is much larger than the primordial cosmos, comparable to some high-level primordial life forms in size to some extent. Of course, although the size is comparable, there is still a difference in the nature of life. With such a large body size, the number of basic life units is countless billions of times more than the particles in a primordial cosmos. Each life unit can generate self-consciousness. Thus one can imagine how many subconsciousnesses were generated in total. Countless subconsciousnesses, due to sharing the same memory, naturally become unified, merging into Luo Feng's immensely vast complete mind consciousness. The life form in my theory of the half-primordial life and death Tao is countless times more complex than the primordial cosmos. Numerous subconsciousnesses seem to have unified memories. But in reality, these subconsciousnesses arise from different parts of the life form, and their instincts will have different tendencies. Some subconsciousnesses like to think. Some subconsciousnesses like to fight. Some subconsciousnesses like to sleep. Some subconsciousnesses like pleasant emotions. Some subconsciousnesses like angry emotions. Some subconsciousnesses extremely dislike angry emotions. When all subconsciousnesses are unified, there will be a large amount of attrition, with as much as 99% or more being consumed. Luo Feng understands this point, just like everyone has wisdom. But an army of 10,000, an army of 100,000, an army of 1,000,000,000. The larger the number, the harder it is for the army to be commanded. The number of Luo Feng's subconsciousnesses is so vast that even Luo Feng's own realm cannot quantify it. These subconsciousnesses do not all like to fight, nor do they all like cultivation. Some simply like extreme leisure. Some like absorbing energy, continually spawning more life units. Others like to eradicate weaker life units. The vast body based on the life and death Tao constantly eliminates weaker life units while nurturing new ones. At my realm, if the body were smaller, controlling it would be easier. But I pursue an extremely large body size. Naturally, I encounter this bottleneck. Any supermassive life form within the cultivator camp will encounter this problem. If this issue is not resolved, controlling such a large body size is impossible. Spiritual control of the physical body is essentially establishing a mind consciousness system, making subconsciousnesses more efficiently unified and reducing attrition, Luo Feng thought. Reducing some attrition forms a complete mind consciousness, which can become 10 times stronger or even more. Luo Feng watched with the eye of life and death. He is well aware that the life and death Tao, in the late stage of Divine Emperor, has reached a bottleneck, with a considerable distance remaining to perfection. This distance is essentially the absence of the mind consciousness system. Once this massive mind consciousness system is integrated, the life and death Tao can truly reach the half-primordial level. The principle is simple, but the mind consciousness system itself is very large and complex. The mysteries observed in the mind consciousness system from watching the heavenly fire shadow, Primordial Bloodline, are quite numerous. At Luo Feng's level, the consciousness net, with billions of layers, densely covers his entire body, commanding all subconsciousnesses from different levels. This is the consciousness net that naturally developed at this stage in his cultivation. The consciousness net itself is already quite perfect. Without pursuing an extremely large body, it is already sufficient. Enhancing it significantly beyond this foundation is unimaginably difficult. There's one troublesome thing. With the high-level primordial bloodline, my eye of life and death cannot see the deeper mysteries clearly. Luo Feng frowned. The mysteries of the mind consciousness system he observed are incomplete, missing the core deepest parts. Just relying on the incomplete parts, it will take a very long time for me to perfect the mind consciousness system, Luo Feng realized. It could take millions to even 1,000,000,000 eras. I need to find a way to see the complete high-level primordial bloodline. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. That's it, in the infinite space, there is a treasure that can help me. In the infinite space on Lake Heart Island. Luo Feng sat cross-legged. I have to use the reward points I have accumulated at this critical moment. Luo Feng was very familiar with the infinite space treasure vault, and without hesitation he exchanged for the desired treasure. Exchange for the wisdom book. Luo Feng immediately made the exchange. The secret treasure, wisdom book, requires 200,000 reward points for exchange. It is a treasured book made from parts of the primordial ancestors' body materials, valued far beyond the eye of life and death. It can analyze everything, study the great Tao, and assist in one's cultivation. Like the eye of life and death, it focuses mainly on observing the vitality and destruction weaknesses in everything, whereas observing primordial bloodlines is relatively inferior. The wisdom book is most adept at researching primordial life corpses and parsing primordial bloodline abilities, naturally superior in this aspect compared to the eye of life and death. The wisdom book is also forbidden to be taken out of the source world. Reminding the trialists can use the wisdom book permanently after the exchange. However, once the trialist dies, the wisdom book will automatically return to the infinite space. Please confirm whether to still exchange. Exchange? Luo Feng was already experienced. Exchange successful. Trialist Luo Feng, this is the 9th exchange of the wisdom book. Of the 8 previous exchangers, 3 have jumped out of the braided cage to become high-level primordial life forms. Luo Feng revealed a smile. The wisdom book's exchangers have a higher rate of escaping the braided cage compared to Eye of Life and Death exchangers. Moreover, the exchangers of the wisdom book, those 3 high-level primordial lives, didn't mention death, which should mean they are still alive. Yet they returned the wisdom book to infinite space while still alive? My reward points are only 11,093.03 left, Luo Feng sighed. The infinite space reward points that he had been saving up have finally been expended. It's worth it to exchange it for this wisdom book. When Luo Feng discovered that researching Primordial Bloodline and Primordial Life materials provided the greatest help in his cultivation of the Great Tao, he felt an impulse to exchange for the wisdom book. But he held back. Even when he hit a bottleneck, he still held back. When he discovered that merely the Eye of Life and Death wasn't enough to see clearly the high-level Primordial Bloodline, only then did Luo Feng use up 200,000 reward points. Good steel is used on the blade's edge. Now is the edge moment. Land of Origin, quiet room in Huyang City Lord's mansion. Inside the Star Tower. Luo Feng looked at the black book in his hand. The book looked ordinary, but the price of 200,000 reward points had already proven its value. An invisible force seeped through, allowing Luo Feng to understand how to use it. Let's try it out. Luo Feng activated the book with a thought. An intangible fluctuation enveloped the heavenly fire shadow, a high-level primordial bloodline, and in just an instant it stopped. Is the analysis already complete? Luo Feng was surprised. He opened the cover of the black book in front of him and saw the pages inside. The pages were crystal clear, containing countless layers of space. Luo Feng looked at them. Layer upon layer of intricate secret patterns, like a great tree, permeated the multiple spatial layers within the pages. This great tree seemed alive, slowly transforming. Everything was incredibly clear, right in front of Luo Feng. This is the complete aspect of the high-level primordial bloodline. It simultaneously exists in many spatial layers and continuously changes on the timeline. Only by separating it for study in different spatial layers and different time periods can we research its entirety. Of course, even with the full appearance right in front of you, it is still exceedingly profound. Like a profound book, even if every word is translated into known words, understanding the whole book is still difficult. Buzz. The Eye of Life and Death on Luo Feng's forehead opened. The originally exceedingly complex secret pattern diagram, under the observation of the Eye of Life and Death, Luo Feng had already discovered the nodes of vitality, destruction, weaknesses. Numerous critical nodes were spied upon, making Luo Feng's understanding of this secret pattern diagram much clearer. Wisdom book, completely analyzing the primordial bloodline. Eye of Life and Death can observe many critical nodes of the bloodline secret pattern diagram. The combination of the two greatly enhances my comprehension efficiency. Of course, the value of the wisdom book is much higher. Without the wisdom book, the deeper parts of the high-level primordial bloodline could not be delved into. Now it's completely exposed in front of Luo Feng without any cover. Let's begin. Luo Feng calmed his mind and studied the 3 strands of high-level primordial bloodline containing the mind consciousness system, heavenly fire shadow, ghost prison disaster beast, and 9-headed chaos beast. Dark sacred realm Qingfeng City. Luo Feng was temporarily residing in the cave mansion of his friend, Bo Xiu Divine Emperor. In fact, Baiyin Divine Emperor and Qizhen Divine Emperor also lived here permanently. My energy reserves are too low, Luo Feng frowned slightly. His body's energy reserves were just over 4,000 times that of a perfect divine body. I need more energy reserves to test my mind consciousness system. During the understanding of the mind consciousness system, practical testing is essential. Practice is necessary to prove the effectiveness of the mind consciousness system. Luo Feng has had a short cultivation time and not many energy reserves. Brother Bo Xiu. Luo Feng immediately transmitted to him. What's the matter? Bo Xiu Divine Emperor responded warmly. The 3 of them were quite willing to serve Luo Feng. I need to quickly boost my energy reserves, Luo Feng communicated. Do you have any good methods? The best way is of course to go to the large Primordial Hall in Primordial City. The cultivation cave mansions in the large Primordial Hall can provide infinite vital energy for absorption, as much as can be endured, Bo Xiu Divine Emperor said. But Brother Luo Feng, you are not suitable to leave Qingfeng City right now. You will need to rely on some special treasures. The quickest way is to buy a World Origin Bead. The World Origin Bead can be used to open up a miniature source world within the body and serve as the source of the inner world. Brother Luo Feng, you can refine the World Origin Bead and it becomes part of you which will quickly replenish your strength, Bo Xiu said. World Origin Beads are quite common within Qingfeng City. With a little overpricing it's easy to obtain one. Help me buy one, Luo Feng said. He paid no heed to the increased cost. I'll ask my friend immediately. Bo Xiu Divine Emperor responded shortly after. It's all set. My friend Feather He Divine Emperor is willing to sell it for 5.5 billion primordial crystals without any markup. He will personally deliver it later as he holds Brother Luo Feng in great reverence. The World Origin Beads have been a staple in the large Primordial Hall for long-term sale, each costing 50,000 battle merits. Feather He Divine Emperor resold it for 5.5 billion primordial crystals, earning nothing extra. Although some factions wanted to extort Luo Feng for a big profit, there were also Divine Emperors who hoped to follow Luo Feng. However, those Divine Emperors never found the opportunity. Help me thank Divine Emperor Yu He. Luo Feng sent a message. He now also knew the intelligence on all the peak-level powerhouses in the Dark Sacred Realm. After all, there were barely over 1,000 known, and Divine Emperor Yu He was one of them. By the way, Brother Luo Feng, Divine Emperor Bo Xiu reminded, weren't you planning to purchase powerful life and death-type secret treasures at a high price? I've released the news, and now it's confirmed that there are 5 Divine Emperors in Qingfeng City willing to sell life and death-type secret treasures. They can come to visit anytime. Why not summon them when you see Divine Emperor Yu He? Alright, thank you, Brother Bo Xiu. Luo Feng was quite tempted. Relying solely on the undying heart and palm world, his combat methods were still too simple. If he had a few more powerful secret treasures, merely coordinating them could enhance his strength. Moreover, these secret treasures contained higher-level mysteries, beneficial for cultivation. It's a small matter. Bo Xiu didn't mind at all. His team of 3 had gone to Yulan City and chatted with Master Yuan Xiang, so they knew Luo Feng very well, aware that he had grown to this stage in an extremely short time. The 3 of them had secretly agreed to follow Divine Emperor Luo Feng for some time. As long as Divine Emperor Luo Feng hadn't escaped the braided cage, they were patient to follow. They hadn't shared any of Luo Feng's information, and Master Yuan Xiang, who had completely returned to the source world, hadn't spread the news either. In the edge area of Qingfeng City, within a small cave mansion, a man in a light white robe, Divine Emperor Jishio, received the news. Luo Feng Divine Emperor summons? Wants to buy my life and death type secret treasure. Jishio showed a look of joy. Oh. He dared not hesitate and immediately left the small cave mansion. Jishio looked up at the sky, where black snowflakes drifted and scattered, chilling to the bone. But at this moment, Jishio was filled with excitement and joy. Finally met a peak existence willing to purchase my life and death type secret treasure. Perhaps I can make a hefty profit from this. The price of such powerful secret treasures varied depending on the buyer. Late-stage Divine Emperor Realm, half-primordial Taoist level, and peak-level existences all offered significantly different prices. Late-stage Divine Emperor Realm dabblers typically started negotiating at 20 to 30 billion primordial crystals, with small increments. There's no choice, they were too poor. A few tens of billions of primordial crystals would already exhaust all their accumulations. Even the leading figures who mastered 2 paths of late-stage Divine Emperor, like the Insect Nest Master, they would have to carefully calculate for tens of billions of primordial crystals. 4 half-primordial enlightened like Master Wei Yang and Master Gai Tao, after accumulating over long years, they might have several hundred billion primordial crystals. They obviously calculated carefully the price of a powerful secret treasure. Only peak-level existences could be more generous. When facing a needed secret treasure, they were willing to offer enough premium. Hope this so-called high-priced purchase from Luo Feng Divine Emperor could offer more, Jishio thought. Even a slip through Luo Feng Divine Emperor's fingers. Might just be all the accumulations Jishio had worked hard for countless eras. Jishio flew through a world where black ice snow scattered, finally reaching the core area of Qingfeng City, where each cave mansion was much larger, with terrifying formations arranged. Hurry inside, you're the last to arrive. Luo Feng Divine Emperor is meeting with Divine Emperor Yu He. You 5 wait here for a while. Arriving at Divine Emperor Bo Xiu's cave mansion, Jishio was led by a puppet servant to a side hall, where the other Divine Emperors were gathered. Jishio glanced around. Among the waiting 5 Divine Emperors, 3 were of late-stage Divine Emperor realm, and 2 were of half-primordial Taoist level. At the moment, all were waiting patiently, showing no signs of impatience. Luo Feng was currently entertaining Divine Emperor Yu He. Divine Emperor Yu He had black feathers all over and a bird's head. The cultivator camp could have diverse races, but they generally liked to transform into forms similar to Senior Yuan, while maintaining their racial form like Divine Emperor Yu He was rare. This World Origin Bead is also my spoils of war, and used in my hands for billions of eras. Now Brother Luo Feng needs it. Seems it's destined for Brother Luo Feng. Divine Emperor Yu He smiled with his pointed beak, also observing Luo Feng closely. Although the peak existences of Qingfeng City knew less about Luo Feng compared to Master Yuan Xiang and Divine Emperor Bo Xiu and their group, they could confirm one thing. Luo Feng was already a peak-level existence even before coming to the Dark Sacred Realm. Just this alone was enough to make other peak-level existences wary. They naturally lowered their stance when facing Luo Feng. Only the City Lord's faction, the Secret Ruins Divine Emperor's faction, and the 8 companions of the Heavenly Wolf, the 3 strongest forces in the city, had enough confidence when facing Luo Feng. Thank you Brother Yu He, Luo Feng smiled. I now need this World Origin Bead for my cultivation. Luo Feng and Divine Emperor Yu He casually chatted, accompanied by Bo Xiu, Bai Yin and Qi Zhen. Brother Luo Feng has other guests so I won't disturb any longer. This time, Divine Emperor Yu He intended to show goodwill to Luo Feng, building some relations, and after a brief chat he took the opportunity to bid farewell. Luo Feng also got up to see him off. Divine Emperor Yu He cultivates the paths of death and destruction. Infamously fierce, I've never seen him so amiable, the red-robed young Qi Zhen said with a smile after the other had left. There aren't many in Qingfeng City who can suppress his ferocity. Brother Luo Feng is naturally one of them. Bo Xiu also smiled. Let the other 5 guests come over as well, said Luo Feng. Soon all 5 guests arrived. Greetings to Luo Feng Divine Emperor, greetings to all Divine Emperors. As they arrived they all felt the pressure. The three of Boshio were peak existences in Qingfeng City, with inherently high status. They were seated on the side, yet LuoFeng sat at the main seat, clearly indicating the difference in status. You plan to sell the life and death type secret treasures? LuoFeng smiled, show them to me, I'll give a suitable high price. If you want to sell you can sell, if not you can leave. Yes. The five took out the secret treasures they had prepared. To cultivate to such strength, they each had fortuitous encounters, obtaining some powerful secret treasures. But not every powerful secret treasure suited them. Even if a secret treasure suits oneself, sometimes it is necessary to exchange world-level life materials and powerful secret treasures for resources. Primogenitor Yan Feng and Thunder Ancestor have done such things with no other choice as they are quite impoverished in the dark sacred realm. Earning resources by risking one's life is too difficult. Luo Feng looked at the five treasures in front of him. A pill furnace, a formation diagram, a big axe, a long spear and a painting. Buzz. Luo Feng's thoughts penetrated, beginning to inspect these five secret treasures one by one. These secret treasures primarily combine life and destruction, but also mix in other mystical elements. For this pill furnace I'll offer 20 billion primordial crystals. For the other four I'll each offer 10 billion primordial crystals. Luo Feng spoke, you can decide whether to sell. All five divine emperors revealed expressions of joy upon hearing this. We are willing. We naturally are willing. All five were very satisfied with these prices. Four powerful secret treasures that ordinarily sold for only 3 to 5 billion, Luo Feng offered 10 billion. For the pill furnace that's typically worth close to 10 billion primordial crystals, Luo Feng's bid was 20 billion. Actually, even those at the peak level wouldn't usually be so generous. Luo Feng, after all, made over 70 trillion primordial crystals in one go, and his strength allows him to easily hunt some low-level primordial life forms in the wild, giving him the capability to offer such high premiums. This Luo Feng Divine Emperor is not ordinarily generous. At this moment, Divine Emperor Jishio was also very excited. The long spear of his had been offered to other cultivators several times at prices generally around 3 to 4 billion, and he always refrained from selling. This time Luo Feng Divine Emperor purchased it for 10 billion primordial crystals, a premium that was so high Jishio Divine Emperor couldn't earn this much even after endless ages of risking life and limb in the dark sacred realm. Soon the transaction was completed. In the quiet room, Luo Feng looked at the powerful secret treasures laid out in front of him with great satisfaction. He was well aware that without enough premium, these powerful secret treasures, which are unique, often required significant effort to negotiate for and might still be unattainable. Doubling the offer. That was enough. If the seller remained greedy, Luo Feng would just kick them out. Although he liked these powerful secret treasures as their numbers grew, one more or less made little difference. With these 5 secret treasures combined with the Undying Heart and Palm World, my strength will increase considerably. Luo Feng nodded with satisfaction, although among these secret treasures, he valued the Undying Heart the most. This was exchanged from the infinite space and possessed the strongest life-preserving abilities. With a flick of his hand, he stored away these powerful secret treasures, and Luo Feng took out the World Origin Bead. This black World Origin Bead faintly glowed with a bit of purple light. Luo Feng's force penetrated this World Origin Bead, allowing it to be easily refined. What a magnificent World Origin Bead! No wonder it can assist in opening a miniature source world within and even act as the origin of the miniature source world within. The energy is indeed ample. Luo Feng was very satisfied. After refining the World Origin Bead, its power easily transformed into his own energy. Rumble. The transformation lasted for 3 days. Luo Feng's physical body's energy reserve soared to 1,000,000-fold. 1,000,000-fold perfect divine body reserve. I now find it exhausting to control such a physical body, though a smile lingered on his face, just right to attempt some mysteries of the mind consciousness system. Time passed. Luo Feng continued to consume various auxiliary treasures, maintaining his thought speed at generally over 100-fold. His mind consciousness system was also slowly forming over time. In the blink of an eye, over 1,000 eras had passed. Within Qingfeng City, some factions were initially ready to cause trouble, hoping to ambush Luo Feng when he left Qingfeng City. Alas, Luo Feng had decided to reside within Boshio Divine Emperor's cave mansion, cultivating in seclusion, which thwarted their plans completely. They understood too, that the wisdom of one who exists at the pinnacle level would not easily give them a chance for plunder. During these over 1,000 eras, Luo Feng also delivered battle merits to the city lord side twice. All 30 million battle merits had been fully traded. Buzz. In the place where Luo Feng secluded himself, layers of the formation sealed everything, yet this day the sealing array suddenly opened of its own accord. The commotion from the formation opening was naturally felt by Boshio, Baiyin and Qizhen. Brother Luo Feng has emerged? The three of them promptly went to greet him. They saw the familiar black-clad, black-haired man walk out. They were quite familiar with Luo Feng, yet this time when they saw Luo Feng emerging, it was as though an infinite world was pressing towards them. They even felt a sense of suffocation. Luo Feng noticed, immediately realizing the issue. This time I exited in full physical form and the pressure is too strong. Previously, when exiting to hand over battle merits, it was merely through dispatching an avatar. But this time he was exiting with his enormous physical body. With a thought. His formidable physical body temporarily took refuge within the super-secret treasure scroll world that he carried, and outside remained only an avatar with 10,000 times energy reserves. The oppressive feeling naturally diminished quickly. Bo Xiu and the other two felt Luo Feng's pressure swiftly return to normal. Brother Luo Feng seems to have gained quite a lot from this time in seclusion. Bo Xiu laughed as he spoke. Bai Yin and Qi Zhen also looked at Luo Feng, both secretly startled. They still clearly remembered the oppressive feeling, just now. That was a feeling even the two most publicly powerful in the dark sacred realm, Divine Emperor Jiku, and Dragon 9 Taoist Monarch, could not bring. Indeed, there have been some gains. Luo Feng smiled slightly, then gently shook his head, but cultivation truly has many obstacles. I am quite troubled and plan to head to the large Primordial Hall in Primordial City. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.